I decided to do my project on P.T. Barnum. As many know, he is famous for being the founder of the Ringling Brothers and the Barnum and Bailey Circus. Phineas Taylor Barnum was born on July 5th, 1810, in Bethel, Connecticut. At the age of 15, his father died, and to help support his mother and his 5 sisters, he did several odd jobs here and there until he fell into the position of publisher at the Herald of Freedom in Boston, Connecticut. This was his first newspaper job. He was a very religious man and was very vocal about his opinions, even at such a young age. He was arrested for publishing his thoughts, many which had to do with slavery, as well as other things. The charge was libel, and he was arrested a total of 3 times. This was his first taste of publicity and notoriety, and it set him on his path towards showmanship. Barnum then started his business of being a small showman. He started off small and then got bigger. His first major success was Joyce Heth. She was the supposed 161-year-old nurse of General George Washington, and she was said to actually look that old. It was not until she died that the exhibit came out as a hoax, and Barnum was scrutinized by the public. To the right, you'll see a flyer that Barnum used to advertise this exhibit and to create buzz about it. Many of his hoaxes along the way were unsuccessful until he was sought out by a man with the name of Charles Stratton, who was 25 inches tall. Barnum hired him and taught him to sing and dance and be quite an entertainer. They ended up being very good friends, but he was Barnum's most profitable exhibit under the name of General Tom Thumb. He even showed Stratton in front of Abraham Lincoln, and they took a trip to England and showed in front of Queen Victoria. Another very famous hoax was the Fiji mermaid, and it was an embalmed mermaid. Some people believed it and some people didn't. They were just more intrigued at the way that Barnum could manipulate his audience to thinking what he wanted them to think. Barnum also did a short time in politics. He served 2 terms in the Connecticut State Legislature until he was elected mayor of Bridgeport, which he was only mayor for a year, but he accomplished a lot. He fought against the discrimination of blacks in slavery, but he also cleaned up the streets, was very against prostitution and tried to put an end to that. He built parks and libraries and schools, but he was also part of a crusade to end the sales of liquor on Sunday. Barnum published an autobiography, The Life of P.T. Barnum, in 1855. He published 7 different editions along the way, adding and subtracting content with each one. He was somehow able to manage his own public persona, and therefore he was able to construct his mass audience the way that he wanted. He would add and subtract the content to manipulate his audience into thinking the best about him, regardless of the things that were published in it. One scholar claims that this was the second most read book after the Bible in the 19th century America. Barnum himself boasted that the book sold over 1 million copies, but scholars say that this is a low estimate, and it was really much more than that. Many people said that Barnum didn't have a private life. He had a public life. In his book, he wrote about his life, his personal life, as well as past hoaxes. I think of celebrities when I think of this. If you're willing to publish something about your private life, then what privacy do you have left? Also, when he published about his hoaxes, he gave away many of his secrets. He had a way of manipulating the public's view of himself in the way that he wanted. So he would add and subtract the content to manipulate their views, to make himself in a better light. You could say that he was a very resourceful self-promoter. Advertising. Barnum believed in the immense power of advertising. He used posters, display ads, classified ads, window signs, and booklets to broadcast what he had for sale, which came in very handy when he was trying to establish his circus, as well as sell his books, and then to publicize his hoaxes along the way, his different exhibits. People called him the Shakespeare of advertising. Barnum was America's second millionaire. He made a fortune, lost it, and made an even bigger one after the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey circus was created. Barnum is famous for a quote of his, "A sucker is born every minute." This referring to his hoaxes, but also the power of advertising. Many historians say that there is no proof that Barnum actually ever said or wrote these words, but he's still famous for saying them. It's a very critical way of looking at things, so historians like to say that he didn't say it. Barnum is also known for being aggressively against alcohol consumption. Very aggressive. As I said before, while he was mayor, he was part of the crusade to end liquor sales on Sunday. But he even went so far as to ban people from drinking at his shows. He would even hire plainclothes monitors to go into the public and make sure that no one was drinking, and even went so far as to make sure that the people involved in his circus weren't drinking either. Barnum said that drinking separated one from reason, and it hindered financial success. Barnum had an interesting solution. He said it was printer's ink. He had a temperance pledge, and what that was is he believed that the ink of written contracts, market exchange, advertising, print media, other things like that were more financially stable and more financially sustainable than drinking was, and they were more reliable. Barnum admits that he authored plenty of potentially risky financial schemes which may look like gambling or no better than drinking, but he insisted that as a temperate man, as a sober man, he's more able to manage and orchestrate his investments with ink than with drinking. And he linked drink with ink in a way to prove that being successful depended on self-mastery and control, and not drinking. Barnum used his advertising skills when he founded Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus. That was very important. Trying to found a very successful circus takes a lot of advertising. He also used his public relations talents to make the show the greatest show on earth, which is the slogan that we all know. For his legacy, Barnum was selected as one of the top 100 most important people of the millennium in Life magazine. Um, he, they say that he is the patron saint of promoters.